Hi, I'm Tierra Destiny. I'm so excited that you tuned in today. My special guest is from North Little Rock, Arkansas, and the CEO of Essence of Excellence. And Japonica Walker is on a mission to help us take our health back. Dr. Japonica, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much, Miss T, for having me.
I am so excited, and we're going to be talking about understanding us as a people. You have taught us that there are three main components of who we are. What are those three components?
Well, we got three basic components. We have our ego, which is our part of our being human, and we have our rational self, and then we have our spiritual or born again self, just depending on how you want to look at that. So basically, all of who we are fall up under one of those three categories.
Okay, so let's talk about the ego. Let's talk a little bit about that, because a lot of times when I hear ego, people assume that it's a bad thing, or there's a negative connotation with it, or we're being a little extra. Can we talk a little bit about that?
The ego is actually, everybody that we think of, no matter what race or background or economic status, everyone has an ego because that's part of our humanity. And a lot of times when we hear the word ego, we spend a lot of time trying to get rid of it. But the ego is the part of us that identifies with the world in which we live, the natural things, the five senses, so our ability to make decisions in the moment for the future, that part of us. So, we probably have all encountered people that have big egos. That means they spend a lot of time developing that part of them, but everyone has an ego and we cannot get rid of it. It's our humanity. It's the base of who we are.
Well, when you say that they've spent a lot of time developing who they are, I know most people don't sit and say, let me develop ego, right? But with the friends and people that I've connected with over the years, we all have different living conditions and situations. Do you feel that some people are put in positions to need to rely on their ego more than others?
Yes,
to defend themselves or for survival? Let's talk about that, because that's what came to mind for me.
Yes, definitely. Because we got to remember that depending on the person, because most of us have functioned a lot of years out of our ego and our rational self. Some people don't have that born again element or that spiritual element, right? So we only have two compartments that we can really function from the standpoint of what decisions do I need to make, especially depending on your job or your position in the family or in the community. So many of the decisions that need to be made, especially when you're dealing like in a corporation, need to be made from an ego standpoint. You got to do what's best for the company. Because if we really think about it, the ego is concerned about the world in which we live, how to function from day to day. What am I trying to create as far as for the future? What am I trying to create as far as my family, the business? So it's all pretty much about vision and mission and what's my purpose for being here. So that part of us plays a major role in how we conduct ourselves in our world.
So would you say that some of the people with big egos, my ego, I think it shrunk a little bit, and it does come out,
All of us.
right?
All of
But would you say that, have you seen that people with big egos are typically in a leadership position or a visionary or not? No.
Typically, I wouldn't say all the time, but typically you would see big egos in corporations from a standpoint of leadership that has to make some very hard decisions, that have to be able to draw the line, draw the boundaries, which is what our ego typically do. It will only take so much disrespect. Right.
Okay. So what advice would you give leaders or those with big egos who are making big decisions, under lots of pressure, but we don't want to hurt relationships. We don't want to take it too far. What advice would you have for those people?
I would advise them to learn how to balance between their ego and their rational self, certainly as it relates to stress, because in a leadership role, I'm sure you know that stress can become a major health issue. You have to rely on your team, right? So if a person is trying to carry the whole corporation themselves, then that certainly will start to show in their health. But being able to rely on their team members, of course, trust is going to come in with that. But knowing that any big vision cannot be done by one person. So certainly to develop and bring balance so that same person can't be the way he is at home or she is at home or in a social setting. So it's learning how to flow in between who we are and depending on the circumstances and situation and relationships. Yeah.
I love that. So learning how to flow and honor that side of ourselves, not to deny that side of ourselves, but just to be aware and conscious. That's what I'm getting from it. Be aware of it and to respect it and honor it.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of times we're taught to dismiss our ego.
Yes,
a
we
lot
are.
of times.
Especially from a spiritual standpoint, we are taught to scripturally to deny that side of us, thinking that it means that part of us no longer exists. But we can never get rid of our humanity. It's just what part does it play? If I'm a spiritual person or a faith-based person, what part does that play in my life as far as representing the kingdom of God?
Awesome.
Today's segment has been brought to you by our sponsors, The Essence of Excellence, ACT Score Booster, and MarriagesCanWin.com. Be sure to subscribe to Tierra Destiny and Friends via YouTube and enter your email address at tierradestinyread.com for more updates, free online training, and details on our next live taping.